Have you ever noticed how even the pursuit of humility can become a performance? How even silence can be a way of saying, "Look how peaceful I am." We spend our lives running from vanity, only to find it sitting cross-legged in the middle of our meditation room, smiling back at us. You see, the ego doesn't die, it adapts. It changes its costume the way an actor changes roles. Once it realizes it can't win through money or status or attention, it tries something more clever. It seeks salvation. It starts collecting virtues instead of possessions. It wants to own enlightenment. We tell ourselves we're seeking truth, but truth is rarely what we want. What we really crave is significance, the feeling that our suffering means something, that our awakening makes us special. But here's the paradox. The moment we think we're special for waking up, we've fallen back asleep. The ego is a shapeshifter. It will play the monk if that's what keeps it alive. It will fast, it will pray, it will quote scriptures, and still whisper in your ear, "You're doing better than the others." And so even our light becomes another mask. Alan Watts once said, "Trying to be unselfish is still a form of selfishness. The moment you make purity a goal, you've already corrupted it, because goals belong to the ego. The ego wants to arrive somewhere. Awakening doesn't arrive, it dissolves, and that's where the tragedy begins. Because when you finally see through this game, when you realize that even your spirituality has been vanity in disguise, something inside you breaks. The old motivation dies. You can't meditate for the same reasons anymore. You can't pray for the same outcome. The sacred becomes heavy, and the silence that once felt holy now feels hollow. It's not depression, it's detox. The soul weans itself off the drug of importance. And for the first time, you begin to feel what humility actually is. Not the pride of being nothing, but the relief of not needing to be anything at all. When the mask begins to crack, the silence becomes unbearable. You look around and realize that almost every act of so-called humility you've ever performed was secretly an attempt to be seen as humble. The purity you chased was not about truth. It was about image. The ego doesn't die when you meditate. It just finds better lighting. It stands quietly in the corner, nodding along, whispering, "Yes, yes, this is who I am now, the one who understands." But the deeper you go, the more that voice turns against you. It starts to say, "If I can't be admired for being spiritual, what's left for me to be?" And then, for the first time, the mind faces something it cannot decorate. It faces the naked reality of being nothing. No one is watching. No one is applauding. There is no divine camera filming your transformation. There is only this ordinary, silent, breathing moment that refuses to be turned into an achievement. That is when the collapse begins. You feel it in your chest like a quiet implosion. You sense that the game is over, but you keep pretending to play. You still post the quotes, still speak the language of awakening, but deep down you know that something inside you has stopped believing in itself. The identity of the spiritual one starts to crumble, and beneath it, you find not divinity, but exhaustion. You realize how much energy it took to appear wise, how much of your light was spent maintaining the illusion of light, and suddenly, everything feels heavy. Even your breath feels artificial, as if it belongs to someone else. You try to pray, but the words taste like ash. You try to meditate, but the silence feels like a punishment. You are no longer in control of the script. The very tools that once made you feel superior now reveal your own hypocrisy. This is not despair. It's truth coming too close for comfort. The ego will fight this with everything it has. It will tell you that you're losing yourself, that you're failing spiritually, that you've gone backwards. But this, precisely this, is the moment of birth. Because for something real to emerge, everything false must suffocate. The collapse you fear is not destruction, it is dismantling. It is the gentle but merciless undoing of the story you built around your existence. At first, it feels like death, and in a way, it is. The death of the one who wanted to be good. The death of the one who wanted to be recognized for their goodness. It's terrifying because vanity is not just about appearance, it's about survival. You built your sense of worth on being someone, and now that someone is disappearing. What's left when there is nothing left to show? You will try to hold on. You will try to rebuild a new identity, one that is humbler, softer, purer. You will say, Now I am the one who has seen through the game, and in that very thought the game starts again. The ego reappears, dressed in white this time, smiling, serene, and quietly proud of its detachment. It bows to the mirror and says, "Look, I am nothings and I'm quite good at it." This is the deepest trick of all. The ego doesn't mind dying. As long as it gets to attend its own funeral, it will even weep beautifully for its own demise. It will wear grief like jewelry, and unless you see through that performance too, you will end up worshipping your own shadow. But then comes a silence different from all silences before. Not the silence you create through discipline, not the silence you perform for others, but the one that arrives when all pretending fails, when even the desire to be free collapses. It's not peaceful at first. It's raw, wild, empty, a silence that does not care if you survive it. You can't use it. You can't post it. You can only drown in it. And yet, as everything inside you screams, something small, steady, and unbothered begins to watch. That watcher, that unchanging awareness, has never been touched by vanity. It has never needed validation. It simply watches patiently as your entire sense of self disintegrates. And the strange thing is, the more everything falls apart, the more it starts to feel right. You are no longer trying to hold the universe together. You are no longer trying to look like light. You are simply dissolving into what has always been there. The ego is terrified of this simplicity because it cannot claim it. There is nothing to display, nothing to improve, nothing to achieve. The ego calls that loss. The soul calls it freedom. For the first time, you stop performing humility and start living it. You speak less, not because silence is holy, but because you finally have nothing left to prove. You look at others and no longer feel superior or inferior. You just see reflections, all burning under the same sun of impermanence, and you begin to laugh, a quiet, almost embarrassed laugh, as if realizing that the universe had been playing with you all along. You had spent years trying to escape yourself, trying to kill the ego, when all that was ever asked of you was to notice its game and stop taking it so seriously. Vanity cannot survive being seen. That is its only weakness. It lives in comparison, in contrast, in reaction. The moment you see it clearly, without trying to change it, it evaporates. Because awareness is not interested in being admired. It's too busy being. That's the real irony. The most enlightened people never talk about enlightenment because they've lost interest in appearing enlightened. They are too busy noticing the wind move through the trees. You realize then that the world is full of mirrors, and every one of them reflects a forgotten version of you. The teacher, the student, the guru, the follower, all masks of the same actor. The stage was never real. The applause never meant anything. The only truth left standing is the one that doesn't require you to stand at all. And in that recognition, something exquisite happens. You stop wanting to be remembered. You stop needing to leave a mark. You start feeling an unfamiliar lightness, as if the weight of your own importance had quietly slipped off your shoulders. The air tastes cleaner. Time feels slower. You breathe without expectation. And life, for the first time, doesn't feel like a performance, and it feels like participation. This is what remains after the vanity burns. A naked, unguarded aliveness. You move, you speak, you laugh, you love. Not because you're trying to express wisdom, but because you are alive. That's it. No symbolism, no script, just the spontaneous movement of being. And it is so simple that the mind can't believe it. It keeps looking for meaning, for pattern, for spiritual achievement. But all of that is gone. You have become too empty to chase what you already are. There is no enlightenment waiting in the future, no ceremony, no title, no final applause. The light that you were searching for was never missing. It was only hidden behind the performance of seeking. Now that the stage is empty, the light floods in, not as an experience, but as your natural state. You are not enlightened. You are not unenlightened. You are simply not divided anymore. And that is the quiet end of vanity, when you no longer need to look enlightened, nor to appear humble, nor to appear at all. You return to the rhythm of things, not the rhythm of mantras, but the rhythm of life itself. Leaves fall, rivers flow, stars collapse, hearts beat. And in every single movement you recognize yourself, not as the performer, but as the dance, So when people ask, how do I destroy the ego? Smile gently, because you now understand the trick. The ego can't be destroyed by force. It can only starve when you stop feeding it with attention. The one who wants to destroy it is it. And the moment you see that, the war ends. Vanity, that restless hunger for recognition, dissolves in the simple light of awareness. You don't conquer it, you outgrow it. And maybe that's all enlightenment ever was. Not an arrival, but an evaporation. Not a triumph, but a transparency. A return to what was always here, quietly waiting beneath the noise, the sound of breath, the feeling of heartbeat, the endless, ordinary wonder of existence. You wake up one morning and realize you don't want to be spiritual anymore. You just want to be real, and that's when the real begins. There comes a moment when the silence no longer feels empty. It begins to breathe with you. You notice that even the pain has softened, not because it has gone away, but because it no longer belongs to anyone. There is no you suffering anymore, just the movement of life expressing itself as sensation, as tears, as stillness. The boundaries blur, and suddenly the world feels like your own skin. The same wind that brushes the trees passes through your lungs. The same light that touches the ocean rests quietly behind your eyes. And you realize, with a quiet astonishment, that you were never looking for awakening. You were awakening looking for itself. This is not enlightenment as a destination. It's the simple recognition that there was never anywhere else to go. The path, the seeker, the search, all dissolve into one unbroken act of being. You don't ascend, you return. You don't escape the world. You fall so deeply into it that all separation disappears. And the beauty of it all is unbearable, because it's too ordinary, too intimate, too close to see. You remember the vanity that once ruled your every thought, the hunger to be seen, to be admired, to be remembered. You smile, not in mockery, but in gratitude. It was that vanity that brought you here. It was the desperate desire to become something greater that finally broke you open enough to see there was never anything missing. The collapse was the cure all along. And now, you don't need to prove your transformation. You don't need to talk about light. You don't need to perform wisdom. You simply walk, breathe, and listen. And in that simplicity, everything shines. The footsteps on the ground sound like a prayer. The breath leaving your lungs feels like forgiveness. The quiet between heartbeats becomes infinite. Nothing is sacred anymore. And because of that, everything is. So if you find yourself in the middle of this collapse, if your carefully constructed self is falling apart, and your mind keeps screaming that you've lost your way, remember this: you're not going crazy. You're just running out of illusions to protect. The pain is not a punishment. It's grace disguised as destruction. Let it take you. Let it strip you bare. The self that dies was never you. It was only the dream of being separate. When the storm passes, there will be no triumphant music, no halo, no revelation, just silence. And within that silence, the faint sound of laughter, the laughter of something ancient and endless, amused by how hard you tried to become what you already were. That laughter is love, and that love is you. And in that moment, you finally understand what Alan Watts meant when he said, "The whole universe is playing hide and seek with itself. You were the one hiding. You were the one seeking. And now at last you have been found, not by anyone, not by God, but by the simple, wordless awareness that has been watching everything from the very beginning. So breathe. Fall apart completely, and as you do, notice that nothing real is lost. Only the mask, only the noise, only the dream of needing to become. What remains is stillness, wide, unbroken, alive. And within that stillness, one final realization dawns quietly. You were never meant to survive awakening. You were meant to become it.